What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Evan here. We're back at it again with another Dead by Daylight tier list video. I've got with me again Carter and Spence. Say hi, you guys.
Hello.
What's up?
All right. So one of the last videos we did was we ranked the killers by their teachables. So if you're kind of starting off new, taking it into account blood point gains, some of the best perks that you might want to have on all the killers that you end up buying. We are assuming that you have all the DLC as well for this, so there's no difference between free-to-play versus DLC. But we're doing the same thing here for survivors. So yeah, if you haven't seen those videos already, recommend you go watch them. Let's just jump right into it. First thing, we have Dwight, my personal favorite survivor. I think Dwight is a solid A. The reason I say that, I think Prove Thyself is a really great perk. I think it's the best Gen Rush perk, which is the main objective of the game. I think especially for if you're kind of newer, Bond is really good too. And Leader is a pretty solid perk that's not bad. Helps increase healing speed. What do you guys think?
I agree.
Yeah, more or less agreed. I think it could even potentially go into low S.
I agree. I think he could be in low S. I think Bond. I think none of his perks are bad whatsoever. In fact, they're all good or great.
But I like A for now.
Yeah, I think let's do A. That sounds pretty solid. Well, we're in agreements there. So let's move on to Meg. Meg has Quick and Quiet, Sprint Burst, and Adrenaline. I think that's a pretty easy S tier.
Oh yeah.
Agreed.
So yeah, Sprint Burst, arguably one of the best perks in the game. Definitely a top 5, top 3, maybe top 1, depending on who you ask. Adrenaline is top 10 perk, I would think. Quick and Quiet, it's a bit more niche, but it's absolutely not bad by any means. It's a fairly low cooldown. It's a great, helps you hide for locker builds, stuff like that.
Yeah, it's not universally useful, but it's very useful on the handful of builds that it works with, I would say.
Yeah. S for Sprint Burst.
Sprint the Burst. We are flying through. I love to see it. Next, we have Claudette. We have Empathy, Botany Knowledge, and Self-Care. This one's a bit harder. I'm leaning B. What do you guys think?
I agree. I don't think any of her perks are bad. You could definitely misuse them. Like self-care is one that's great in certain circumstances, but obviously can be abused pretty easily. Same with botany and empathy. You can get some value, but you can also waste them.
I think C personally, maybe this is my own bias against Blendettes coming in here. Obviously, you know, as we've hinted at, self-care is kind of a trap, but it's not useless. It definitely has its uses. You have to know when to use it effectively. I think Botany Knowledge is the standout perk for her, and I'd put that one above the others personally, but I'd say it evens out to like a C for me.
I think Self-Care, honestly, is probably an A tier perk. It gets memed on and is used in a lot of situations where it shouldn't be used, where you should be pushing gens or healing or getting unhooks instead of healing in the corner. So I think the perk isn't bad. It's just when people decide to use it.
As the joke goes, it's my favorite killer perk.
Yeah. Botany Knowledge is a solid perk. Increases healing speed, healing item efficiency. Empathy is basically just you have map-wide knowledge of who's injured.
Which is very good to have, especially if you're...
I'm leaning low B here. I'm willing to stick in low B. I think Self-Care and Botany Knowledge are good enough to not have her in C.
I think C still, but it seems I'm outvoted, so I will bow to the majority.
All right. Next, we're gonna have Jake, who has Iron Will, Calm Spirit, and Saboteur. Interesting perks here. I think overall, this is really tough, actually. I'm gonna drop him in A, and I want to hear what you guys think.
I would have put him in B personally.
I was also thinking C for him, honestly.
C for Jake.
Iron Will is so good. You can't put him in C when he's got Iron Will.
That's a fair point, and Iron Will is absolutely carrying his kit. I'll give you that. It's one of the best perks in the game.
That's partly why I put him in. That's probably why I put him in A. Just because I think Iron Will is that strong. Also, I think Saboteur is kind of slept on. Sabotaging isn't great, obviously.
It's not terrible.
It's honestly a decent perk. it's not. I don't think Saboteur is a bad perk. I think Calm Spirit is bad, but
Yes.
Agreed.
Garbage.
Yeah, but
I think Saboteur is.
I think it's a C perk for me.
Useful for newer players, especially when you want to save your items, when you're not going to have a reliable stock of toolkits.
It strikes me as almost like the toolbox equivalent of self-care. Like, it takes a lot longer. You might be better off just running a toolkit, but it does have its uses and can be really clutch in certain situations.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm willing to bring him down to B, but everyone should get Iron Will, especially because it's at level 30. Yeah, Jake is one of those characters. Level him up to 30, get Iron Will, and you're set.
And then just
yeah.
But overall, he's going to be a B. Next, we're going to have Nia. Nia has Balanced Landing, Urban Evasion, and Streetwise.
Mm-hmm.
Someone get Pepin. He thinks she's S tier for Urban Evasion.
God.
Not because it's good, mind you, but because it annoys me.
Oh, yeah. But if you only ever play against hags, he's right. It's an S tier perk.
That's true. S tier against hag. Nia's tough. I'm leaning C. I think she's pretty solidly in C. I think Balanced Landing is a B perk. I think Urban Evasion is C to D. Streetwise, I almost never see. What do you guys think?
Urban Evasion is much like self-care in that it has specific uses. It's very good in specific contexts, but it's also very easy to misuse it. The stereotype of the self-care Urban Evasion blendettes who go to the corner of the map to heal every time they get hit,
Yeah.
Personally, I think you underrate Balanced Landing a little bit. And I know it is a situational perk because of certain maps being much flatter than others. But I think, personally, I found it actually easier to use effectively than Sprint Burst.
Do you think Balanced Landing is better than Lithe?
Ooh. I don't think it's better than Lithe. Lithe is my favorite exhaustion perk, bar none.
Okay. I would have...
Spoilers.
Would have had to throw some hands if you thought it was better than Lithe.
But I do think it's a little bit underrated. All exhaustion perks are good. I think we mostly acknowledge that. But I think among exhaustion perks, it is a little bit slept on.
Carter, what do you think?
I'm happy with where you've put Balanced personally because Spencer kind of alluded to it. There are maps where you're going to get little to no value out of Balanced, and you're better off running one of the more consistent ones. Like, even though Sprint Burst is harder to use, you can use it on every map, every killer.
Yes.
Same with Lithe, with the exception of, like, maybe the game is a little harder to get some use out of it because there's just, like, almost no windows. But
you get it for pallets too, though.
Yeah, but I mean, how often do killers leave the pallet up? Most of the time, they're probably gonna break it.
Depends on your level of play, from what I've seen, and what killer they're playing.
Yeah, well, we can put a pin in this for when we get to Lithe. We're talking about Balanced.
Absolutely.
So I think it's a good perk. It's definitely her best, but still not as good as some of the other exhaustion perks. Streetwise, I also don't think is as bad as Evan says. I think it definitely has its use. Because that's the one I believe where once it gets empty, you can... No, I'm thinking of Built to Last.
You are.
Your depletion rate of items is reduced, and this also affects other survivors within 8 meters.
It does have good synergy with things like Built to Last, though.
It does. And, like, if you are running like toolboxes and there's a bunch of you on a gen together, you can make that generator fly. So I think it's like a maybe D tier perk. I don't think it's total poo-poo garbage. So I'd be happy leaving her at, like, C.
I do agree with the overall placement of Nia, despite individual disagreements on perks.
All right, cool. Let's leave her in C then. Next we have Laurie. She's got Soul Survivor, Object of Obsession, and Decisive Strike. I'm going to throw her in A tier. I feel pretty good about it. I think Decisive Strike is still an S tier perk. Object has been reworked as of a couple patches ago. I think it's probably an A tier perk. It was S tier, but I think it's A tier now. Soul Survivor is definitely poo-poo garbage, no question there. But I think DS is so strong and so meta-defining, especially at higher ranks. And Object is still great, especially in Survive with Friends. So I'm going to leave her in A. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. I think with every placement of all those perks, DSS, and object like A or B, and Soul Survivor, total poo-poo garbage, definitely on the table of discussion of worst perk in the game.
Yeah, even after the nerf, I think DS is still easily one of the biggest must-have perks. So, yeah, as you said, it's meta-defining. There's not much more to say about it. I agree with the placement.
Cool. We love to see it. Love to see agreement. Next, we're going to have Ace. I'm going to place him here in poo-poo garbage. Unfortunately, I like him as a character, but like his perks are so freaking bad, man.
I hate to do it to my boy, but I have to agree.
Yeah.
I do think open-handed is a D tier perk, not poo-poo garbage, because of its synergy with other aura reading, but it's about the only one worth anything in his arsenal.
Yeah, I think when Ace came out is when luck was introduced into the game, and I think luck is just such a any RNG based kit is just not going to be great, not going to be what you want.
Same problem you have with Pig, honestly.
Yeah, exactly. If Pig was more consistent, easily way higher tier, which is because she has so much built-in slowdown. But yeah, I think Ace is poo-poo garbage. Carter, do you have anything to add there?
Nah, sorry, bud. Level him up because he's quiet, but otherwise,
yeah, it's true. He's very quiet. So for stealth reasons, him, Claudette, people like that are pretty solid. But
level him after you've got some other perks.
Next, we have Bill, who I think is going to be the easiest to rank in this whole list. He's got Left Behind, Borrowed Time, and Unbreakable. Easily S tier.
Absolute unit.
Yeah. I'd even recommend leveling him up first out of everybody.
Yeah, I think, I would say so too. I think you should level him up. Borrowed Time or BT, in my opinion, is the best Survivor perk. I think Iron Will is number 2. Unbreakable might be 3, 4, 5. Depends. But either way, he has 2 top 5 perks in the game. Left Behind, I would say it's a C perk, personally. But I think Borrowed Time and Unbreakable easily land him in S tier. So
yeah. Even if Left Behind was absolute unredeemable garbage, the other two carry him that hard.
Yeah, even if Left Behind was poo-poo garbage, I'd probably still have an S tier because, again, if you have the number 1 perk in the game and then another one of your perks is top 5, or even top 3, depending who you ask, easily S. So level up Bill. Do it. I told you to. Next,
deserves it.
He does deserve it. Next is Feng. We're going to have Technician, Lithe, and Alert. This is a very interesting one. I'm leaning to put her in A. I think Lithe is really solid. I'm starting to lean that Lithe is better than Sprint Burst, but that's a personal thing, and I know that might be a hot take. But I'm starting to lean that way. I think Alert is really good, actually. I think it's an A tier perk. Anytime the killer performs a break action, either a door or pallet, you see them for 5 seconds. 5 seconds is not a short amount of time, and that's really useful. And if they break pallets a lot, multiple times a game, and that's just free information. So, what do you guys think?
Yeah, I think people are sleeping on Alert, funnily enough. Technician is great too if you're just starting or if you struggle with skill checks. That can be game saving. If you're newer to the game or especially people who have a hard time with that reaction time, that can change the entire course of the game. And then Lithe is also really, really good.
Technician also reduces the range that the killer can hear you working on gens. For someone, like I said, in my previous video, I'm a spirit main, so I rely on sounds a lot. If you can tell what a generator regressing sound is like being worked up versus being worked on, that can make a big difference. So Technician isn't bad. I'd rate it probably D overall. I don't think it's poo-poo garbage because it's good for new players. But
because as a killer, I do fairly often when I'm patrolling generators get just close enough to hear if someone's working on it, and then if I don't hear it, I'll leave. So that is something that could potentially get the killer to just leave you alone. Probably won't happen a lot, but now and then.
If I had to rank them, I think Lithe is probably low S, high A. Alert is like high B to low A, and then Technician is D. So I'm leaning A. Any disagreements here?
I'm happy with that.
Yeah, works for me.
Cool. Next we have David. He has We're Gonna Live Forever, Dead Hard, and No Mither. That's a tough one. That's a tough one.
Because he has such He has both ends of the spectrum here.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna put him in A. I think Dead Hard, when it's not bugged and works fine, is that's an S tier perk. We're gonna live forever. Honestly, really solid perk. You heal double speed when people are slugged. Also, you get tokens in the same way as barbecue and chili. You can get 4 tokens. You get double blood points per game, which is pretty crazy.
Excellent for new players,
Yeah,
especially.
yeah, exactly. As far as going perks that you want to buy, especially when you're newer, we're gonna live forever's up there. So I'm leaning A, even though No Mither is a meme perk and poo poo garbage.
Yeah, yeah, I can agree with that. I think this is a good time to bring up with the exhaustion perks. It's hard to really rate them, I think, as necessarily better or worse than one another.
Hmm.
I think a lot of them are going to depend on your playstyle and how you prefer to approach the survivor role.
Yeah,
I think Dead Hard is definitely more of a high risk exhaustion perk, but it really it's one of those ones that's really clutch when you need it.
yeah. I think no Dead Hard is great for looping. Sprint burst is great, kind of all around. Light is somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, sprint burst for getting those head starts.
Yeah,
Because sometimes you can, by getting a head start, you can discourage a killer to just leave you alone entirely.
yeah. We all know No Mither's poo poo garbage, unfortunately. So, anything to add there, Carter?
I know I'm already outvoted because you both put him in A, but I personally lean more towards B, just because how inconsistent Dead Hard is. Like the amount of times you're in chase and it would be clutch to pull something off with Dead Hard, and you end up exhausted on the ground instead is incredibly frustrating. And there's also so many scenarios where I think it's just as hard to use as some of the other exhaustion perks and not worth it for how inconsistent it is. Like um, most of the time, people who don't really know what they're doing with Dead Hard, they'll Dead Hard a little bit for a distance in a chase when the killer gets really close, but a smart killer is just going to wait you out. They're going to assume you have it.
Yeah.
So it's rare to really like turn the tide of a chase because of Dead Hard unless you're like a pro player. We're gonna live forever. It's decent, but I still probably wouldn't put it above a perk since it only really applies to slugging. And if the killer doesn't slug and doesn't give you that opportunity to heal, you can't really get value. And then no matter there's poo poo garbage.
I think Dead Hard. There's more uses than we've discussed. For example, you can Dead Hard past traps. You can Dead Hard hatchets, which I've done more times than I can count. People don't think about that. You can Dead Hard past a bubble chainsaw. So there's a lot of different uses for Dead Hard. Yeah, it's high risk, high reward. It's like I've said it before. It's basically like a third health bar, which just in concept is insane. I think Dead Hard's an S tier perk for sure. I vote A. Spence, what do you vote?
I think Carter makes a good point here. Just under current Dead Hard, it is very inconsistent, and that can make it a lot harder to use despite its versatility. So while it is, I agree with you, an S tier perk when it's working properly, the issues with it currently do hurt it a bit.
Okay, I think I can. We can put him in B with like an asterisk. If Dead Hard's fine, if every
all cylinders are firing, he's an A tier.
Yeah, if he's good to go, we're an A tier. With Dead Hard, especially like on consoles, like Dead Hard makes the game just not work sometimes. We'll leave him in B, but with an asterisk. Next, we're gonna have Quentin, the Goblin himself.
The ex-Goblin.
Well, I mean, this picture's still not great.
Yeah.
He has Wake Up, Pharmacy, and Vigil.
Send the Goblin to the garbage realm.
Hate to do it.
I do
think Pharmacy is redeeming.
I think Vigil is actually. I was gonna say so Vigil slept on, but that's a pun. I didn't. Man,
not as much as Wake Up is slept on.
No, it is not. No, it is absolutely not slept on. Wake Up is I think Wake Up is one of the worst perks in the game.
But
honestly.
It's more of a pun, higher tier pun there.
It is.
But yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah, Vigil's okay. I would say Vigil's like high D, low C, but the rest of his perks, I don't think are good.
Maybe not C, but D, yeah. Mostly because all the status effects that Vigil helps you recover from, none of them are super debilitating in the first place.
I mean, the exhaustion. It gets rid of exhaustion 20% faster.
Exhaustion's about the only thing
Yeah,
there.
for that reason alone, I think it's
That's
really
true.
solid.
That keeps it out of garbage tier, I'd say.
Yeah, for sure. I think I'd put Vigil in D, but the other two perks in poo garbage. So I think we're all in agreement there. Agreement there.
I'd put pharmacy in D as well, but still, overall, yeah.
You put pharmacy in D.
I would, if you're using it
all
for
you do
a
is
chest.
you open chests 80% quicker, and your first chest guarantees a green med kit. And that's it. That's all the perk does.
Yeah, I think that's not terrible.
I think you could just bring in a med kit.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's an extra med kit though.
I'd rather run plunderers.
Yep.
Hit more chests.
¿Por qué no los dos?
Well, that's half your build to just finding a med kit when you could just bring one.
Also, because you have Quattro perks. All right. Well, I guess we're gonna leave him poo garbage.
But we agree overall. Yeah.
Okay. Next, we have Detective Tapp. He's got Tenacity, Detective's Hunch, and Stakeout. I think he's in C, but there might be a disagreement here. I feel pretty solid, but I'm able to be convinced.
What does Stakeout do again? I don't remember the exact.
For X amount of time you spend in the terror radius, but not being chased.
Yeah, for 15
you get
seconds.
Tokens.
I think
15 seconds. Yeah, you get a token, and when hitting, I believe a normal skill check, if you hit a good skill check, it turns it into a great one.
Yep. For every 15 seconds,
spends a token.
Every 15 seconds in the terror radius, you get a token, up to 4.
It's a repairing perk.
And yeah, it turns normal into greats. That's it, and it consumes a token.
All right. Well, with that knowledge, I would be more inclined to put him in D tier.
Really?
Yeah, I think Tenacity is not that good unless you run it with something else like Unbreakable or even No Mither. Like by itself, it's not great. Maybe even Flip Flop. Detective's Hunch is a decent totem perk. The problem I have with all of his perks is I could just think of a better perk to run instead.
Flip Flop is the one that the one that lets you throw pallets when you're in
that's
Power Struggle.
Power Struggle. Okay.
Yeah, Power Struggle. Flip Flop is the one that whatever you recover on the ground
converts into Wiggle.
Converts into Wiggle.
Okay.
It's on Ash.
Often run together.
Yeah, they are. Like that's what I'm saying about Tenacity. You kind of have to run it with something else to get value. Detectives is okay, but you're better off running Small Game, and Stakeout is but you're better off running like Prove Thyself or even just a Toolbox.
I agree.
We've got all over the spectrum here because I'm going to put him in B personally.
Whoa!
I think Detective's Hunch is a very good totem hunting perk.
Now I agree.
And I agree
there.
Stakeout is mediocre but underrated.
I think I'm with you on Detective's Hunch actually. I think Detective's Hunch is a B tier perk. I think it's really great. I think Stakeout is poo garbage. 15 seconds per token in the terror radius. That means usually within 32 meters of the killer. So think about what you're going to be doing during that time. You're either just going to be standing still, or you're like hiding, or maybe on a gen, maybe healing. But most of the time, it's going to be like hiding and not getting anything done. So, and I think Tenacity is
sometimes hiding and not getting anything done is preferable for a few seconds, just to make sure.
Yeah, but it's 15 seconds per token. If you want 2 tokens, that's 30 seconds. That's a good chunk of a gen that you could have been working on elsewhere.
That's true. Consider multi-level maps where the killer is on a different floor, but in your terror radius.
I mean, it might be good in that case scenario, but you're kind of making it niche. There's only
it's niche. I'll give you
like
that
right now.
I mostly say this because I have had a lot of I've run it a lot myself in our customs, and when combined, especially with other repair perks, like what's the Yun-Jin one?
Fast Track.
Fast Track with Fast Track, it can really make gens go a lot faster.
I will say though, but it's only a great skill check though. That's not like, I don't think that's too crazy. I don't think that's anything to like run home about.
It's not. Like I said, I don't think it's a good perk. I just think people tend to malign it a bit more than it deserves.
Okay, so final votes.
It has uses.
Carter, what's your final vote here?
Still stick with D.
Spence, you say B?
I'm saying B.
Okay. I'm leaning.
I guess that evens up to C.
I'm leaning C or D honestly. I think Carter convinced me a bit. I'll leave him in C, just out of respect for Spence.
I do also think the Detective's Hunch is a more reliable totem hunting perk, at least in my experience, than
I
Small
agree.
Game.
I actually agree there. I absolutely agree. I'm with
Detective's
you.
Hunch is my single favorite totem hunting perk in the game.
Same. I'm with you 100% on Detective's Hunch. I just think his other two perks are terrible. So
I wouldn't agree that it's more reliable. Doesn't it require you to pop generators to find totems?
Yep.
Yes.
So what happens if you can't pop a gen? Like you got a Forever Freddy and you're stuck at 5 gens, you're never getting value. Versus in these small game,
I think
you have a chance.
When you're stuck at 5
Forever
gens, it's pretty niche.
Not nearly as impressive anymore, so that's less of an issue, I'd say. And if you're stuck at 5, that's going to be the vast minority of games.
Yeah, I agree.
And in other cases, as long as you pop at least one, if you're bringing a map with you, they're going to get recorded on your map.
Yeah, it tracks them automatically. That is true. So paired up with a map even, which you can, it's not like super rare, but it's not common to run a map. But still. Mm-hmm. All right, let's leave them in C. I think
sure.
No one's going to be happy there. Next, we're going to
compromise. A good compromise leaves everyone mad.
Boil Over, your favorite perk in the game.
My favorite perk in the game. Okay, we have Dance With Me, Windows of Opportunity, and Boil Over. Oh, man. I think
S tier, right? Boil Over is fantastic.
Yeah, S tier's fantastic. All right, so we're going to leave... No, okay. We're going to put her... I think she's the first D. I think Boil Over, as much as you guys like to meme me about it, I think Boil Over is poo-poo garbage. I think Dance With Me is also poo-poo garbage. I think Windows is like a C tier perk, which saves her from the bottom tier. Do you guys kind of disagree? Agree? What do you think?
I agree with Windows being C. I think Dance With Me is D, mostly because, again, it can combine well with other perks that help you hide your actions like that. Quick and Quiet, not off the record. Fast Track, no.
I know you're talking.
What's the one? Lucky Break. That's what I'm thinking
Lucky
of.
Break, yeah.
But
the thing is,
I think they're very situational and not nearly potent enough to put it above D.
I think they're all.
I agree.
They're all better than Dance With Me though. They're like a decent amount.
Yeah, they are.
So like that's why I think, especially when you compare, it just makes Dance With Me look worse. I don't know.
They supplement each other, I would say, but that's why I say Dance With Me D, and Boil Over. I agree, garbage.
Yeah, it hurts because I love Boil Over in our custom games. I think it's hilarious, especially on Larry's. The panic that ensues for the killer is priceless. But it's not good. It's not consistent. Like you're very, very rarely gonna get anything close to value out of it.
If it made you struggle faster, it might have some value.
Like if it had like almost a built-in breakout to it, it would be maybe a C to D perk. But Windows is the only like standout, and even that is still like a C, maybe D perk. Like once you've played for a long time and know the maps, you probably don't need it.
Yeah. I run Windows a lot in our games just because I like to know my terrain and I'm still getting used to how tiles generate. But once you really know what you're doing, you don't really need it anymore.
All right. Well, I vote D. Do you guys vote anything different?
Yeah,
that works for me.
All right. Next we have Adam. Adam has Diversion, aka Pebble, Deliverance, and Autodidact. Let's see. Where do I want to first?
Well, the
place
Pebble
him?
is S tier, of course.
Of course.
Oh yeah.
The only thing that can kill the killer.
Oh man, I think he's C.
Gun.
I think he's C. I think I'll just start off by saying I think Autodidact is just terrible.
Yeah.
It is just so bad. I actually thought it was really good when I first started the game because I'd be getting skill checks, and then I realized like how random it is, and sometimes you just don't get a single skill check the entire 0 to 100 that you kill someone. So I think Deliverance is super solid, especially in like a survive with friends. That because no one has to. You can communicate. Oh, I have Deliverance. No one has to go for you, and that can save us so much time and take so much pressure off the killer. And then Diversion, Pebble, S tier, obviously. No, I mean it's kind of memey. It's okay. I'd put it in C or D.
D probably, I'd say.
Probably D. Yeah.
Most killers are not going to fall for it.
But I think Deliverance is A. So that's why I put him in C. Do you guys disagree or agree with C overall?
Overall,
Yeah.
I agree. I think Deliverance I'd rate maybe a little bit lower just because of the fact that if you get found first, there's a good chance that you won't get to use it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I should clarify. He's probably like a low C. I don't feel comfortable putting him in D, but he's like a low. He's at the bottom of C.
Yeah, without speaking towards top or bottom of C, I agree with C tier overall.
Yeah, it's so easy to lose value on. Like, his best perk is Deliverance, and it's incredibly easy to just not be able to use it. So,
But I do have to say, I love Deliverance. It is definitely in my top favorite perks, even if
Yeah,
I don't think it's the best.
it's a great perk, and honestly, just pure numbers game. It's a 1 in 4 chance that you get hooked first.
Mm-hmm.
So just going off, statistics overall for any player, you're usually gonna get value out of it because if you have Deliverance, you're gonna be gunning for that Deliverance stack.
Mm-hmm.
And
if you're a strong looper, or you start out in a good area, then that Deliverance can buy you even more time if you can just keep the killer busy. You don't end up getting wasted. You get found first, but you loop them for long enough that they just give up. So it's not getting found first isn't always a guarantee that you're going to lose Deliverance.
Yep. All right, next we're gonna have Jeff. He's got Breakdown, Aftercare, and Distortion. I'm trying to actually remember what Aftercare does. I don't know why.
Whenever you heal someone or they heal you, I believe, you can see their auras. You can see each other's auras, I think, maybe.
Okay, I'm gonna put him in D.
I'd agree.
Yeah, I want to like Distortion, but
I think it's great. I think Distortion's like a high C, low B. I'm a fan of Distortion.
Best perk,
yeah,
honestly.
it's absolutely his best perk. But I think it's kind of slept on.
The number of charges is the real killer for it, because if you use it at all, it's possible to just blow through all those tokens and then be left with a dead perk.
Yeah, I mean it's honestly anti-barbecue, and that's the most played killer perk in the game. So
yeah,
and it's a good way of knowing. It's a good way of knowing if the killer has barbecue.
Yes, Distortion's use for information is, I think, its best quality.
Yep.
If you can just keep an eye on it, glance at it now and then, and see if a token disappears, you can tell what perk the killers are going to have for aura reading.
Yeah, I think Distortion is one of the few perks that really gains value the higher game knowledge you have.
Yes.
I want Breakdown to be better than it is.
I know. I love Breakdown. It's just it's a fun perk to use. I don't see any value in Aftercare personally, from what you said. But I don't know. I think it's probably D or poo poo.
I'd say it's D. There are definitely better perks for keeping track of your allies.
Yeah. I think Breakdown is D, since I think he has probably 2 D perks.
Yeah, D makes sense overall.
I think so too. Next we have Jane, aka Thickums. We've got Solidarity, Poised, and Head On. Oh man, I hate to do this, but I think she's a D right off the bat. If you guys can.
Sorry, Thickums.
I was expecting Carter, what do you think? I was expecting Spence to fight me on that a little bit.
No, I think Poise and Solidarity kind of suck, and then as hilarious as Head On is, you don't get that much value out of it.
So. Head On is great, but it's probably the hardest exhaustion perk to use.
It's hard to use. Is it an exhaustion perk?
It's exhaustion.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah. So that makes it even worse because you can't run it with like any others really. So it's pretty bad.
Yeah. And yeah, Poise is not great. Solidarity is. I've seen some very niche builds that incorporate it, but yeah, gotta agree with D.
I just read on what Solidarity does. Oh my god, it's worse than I thought. Because honestly, because I think Poise is terrible. I think Poise is terrible. Solidarity seems terrible. I actually might move her to poo poo garbage. I want to know your guys'
keep her out. I think it's still Head On. It's memey, but it does still have uses.
Yes.
Like it can save you in a chase. If you pull it off, you can save somebody, like almost flashlight save via locker. You can do some really cool shit with it that you can't do with anything else.
Yeah, I think Head On alone. I think Head On alone has to save her from garbage tier.
Okay. I want to
go not in terms of utility, in terms of fun.
I'll go on record as saying I think her perks are poo-poo garbage, but if you guys want to vote her in D, that is totally fine. Next we have Ash. He's got Flip Flop, Buckle Up, and Medal of Man. I'm just gonna quickly throw him in poo-poo garbage.
I hate to do it because I love Medal of Man.
I think the ideas on his perks are really interesting, especially Medal of Man.
It's very solid concepts.
Oh man, don't you have to take what 3 protection hits?
Yeah, it only gets like successful use at way high tier competitive play. Otherwise, you're probably never gonna get to use it.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a shame. I think it's a shame. It's a shame he's so bad. I think Medal of Man has the potential to be maybe an S tier perk. I think if it's take 1 protection hit and then the next one you don't. If it was 1, if it took 1 hit, I would say that's actually. I would probably run it, honestly, on a lot of builds. But 3,
Even if it was even 2 protection hits, it might even be decent.
Yeah.
3 is so hard to pull off.
Even two, honestly.
Yeah. 2 would make it hard to use, but worth the effort, I think.
But 3 is unusable.
3 pushes it over the edge.
3 is like makes it one of the worst perks in the
You have to build specifically for it, and at that point, it's not enough benefit to justify.
I think Medal of Man is probably bottom 5. I think Flip Flop might also be my bottom 5.
I think Buckle Up goes below Flip Flop.
Really?
I think Flip Flop has very niche, but some usefulness. Again, mostly combined with other perks.
The only reason is because Buckle Up does something, usually. But if you get down and picked up immediately, like you will, like 90% of the time, Flip Flop does nothing.
That's true.
That's why I don't think Tenaci's that great.
But the same argument can be made for Unbreakable.
True, but slugging happens. If I get slugged, I rather just be able to heal myself completely, rather than deal with anything else.
Yes, I agree.
Okay, I think we're gonna.
I think we all still agree on where he places overall. It's just quibbling over specifics.
Next, we have Nancy. Rest in peace.
Yeah.
This is being recorded, I think, a day or 2 after the Stranger Things chapter got announced that it's not going to be the game anymore. In November, I think me and Carter bought the DLC chapter. So rest in peace. These are going to be different, not different characters, but the perks are going to be named something different. Nothing official yet, so I don't want to comment on any of that stuff.
Yeah,
but
we've heard leaks, but we don't know if they're legit. Yeah.
So Nancy has Better Together, Fixated, and my personal favorite Survivor perk is Inner Strength. I love the design of it, and I don't know why. Inner Strength is just it's not the best, but it's my favorite. So I'm a little
locker boy. So.
I'll poke at you for it, but I think it's a really cool perk too. I like it a lot. I'd run it more if I was more confident in my ability to find totems and use lockers effectively.
I'm reading real quick on Better Together.
Yeah, since the names are going to be changed, it might be a good idea to just go over real quick what each of Steve and Nancy's perks do.
Yeah, so real quick, I'm reading Better Together because I always forget what this perk does.
I believe that's whenever you're on a gen, everyone else, all the survivors, see it highlighted.
Within 32 meters, yeah. And then if you get downed while repairing a generator, you see the auras of all other survivors for 10 seconds. But if you get downed, why do you really need to see other survivors? I don't get the point of that.
Yeah.
That doesn't make it.
It's not really going to help you.
There's zero value there. I think Fixated is honestly kind of solid. I think it's pretty good.
It's a good spirit counter.
Especially if you combine it with something like Sprint Burst.
Yeah, I mean, just being able to walk faster is nice too. That way you don't.
And
lose
seeing your
marks.
scratch marks is a great learning thing for newer players.
And great against
to
spirit.
be able to figure out how they spawn, how they generate.
I
do think Better Together is not useless. Fixated Better Together. I'd put them both maybe in like CD tier. Inner Strength probably A.
I'm happy with that placement of her.
I personally want to put her in B so bad.
I would actually say B as well for her. Honestly.
Yeah. Oh man, it's tough. I think Inner Strength is A. Fixated is like C. Then Better Together is like D or poo-poo garbage. I'll leave her in C, but I want to put her in B so bad. Are we all good there?
Yeah.
Next
B, C. I can go either way with her. Either way. Yeah.
Inner Strength.
C.
Inner Strength. That's perk. Next we have Steve. He's got Babysitter, Camaraderie, and Second Wind. Off the bat, pun intended. We're gonna put him in D for me. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I agree. And again, since since the names are going to be changed,
Yep.
let's go over what these ones do again as well.
Let me open them up. So, babysitter, when you unhook a survivor, the rescued survivor doesn't leave scratch marks or pools of blood for 8 seconds, and you both see the killer's aura for 4 seconds. It's solid. I think it's okay.
I think it's his worst perk, to be honest.
I think so too, but it's not poo-poo garbage.
My thoughts on babysitter: if the killer is close by,
they'll just see you.
Yeah, they'll probably see you, and hiding scratch marks and blood won't matter.
And
if the killer's far away,
8 seconds
it doesn't last long enough to matter.
Yeah, and 8 seconds is not a long time.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not a long time. So I mean, being able to see the killer's aura is nice, but again, if they're coming back to you,
yeah,
you know they're there, and they know you're there. So, his other perk, camaraderie. If another survivor within 16 meters of you is hooked while you're using camaraderie, while camaraderie is active. Wait, hold on. While you're on the hook in the struggle phase. While you're on the hook in the struggle phase, and then if another survivor, the struggle timer is paused for 34 seconds. This is, again, it's another. I think it's a D tier perk. I think it's not terrible. It has its uses, but I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I think the main problem with it is that your allies who are activating it don't know that they're activating it unless they're watching the progress bar. And in that case, they're probably not watching it because they're looping the killer.
Yeah, and then again, if a teammate just comes up and unhooks you, that's camaraderie.
If it was easier to communicate that you had it, it would be higher, I think. That way you could have people like, loop the killer around the hook to pause the timer, waste more time for gens to get done, things like that.
Yep, and for second wind, which I think is his best perk, when you heal a survivor for 1 health state, the next time you're unhooked or you unhook yourself, you're broken, but then you're automatically healed. It's back to full after 20 seconds. I think this is his saving grace. I think it's a really solid perk.
It's not great. It's niche, but I'd put it in like C.
I think second wind's a B tier perk, personally. I think it's really solid. Especially if you run it with something like We'll Make It, then you can heal up a health state super quick, especially after unhooking someone. So, yeah. Carter, anything to add here?
I personally think he's kind of poo-poo. He is okay. I think it's like a D, maybe a C. The other two, all I could keep thinking is I would just rather have somebody run borrowed time. Like,
yeah,
both of them are such kind of niche scenarios.
They're very situational.
So, like, especially if the killer is coming anywhere near the hook, like with second wind, if you don't have borrowed time, then you're not going to get any use out of that. You have to sit there and physically can't heal.
Yeah,
can't get away.
I think the benefit of healing a health state immediately is enough to outweigh how situational second wind is, but only just.
I agree. I think overall he's going to be in D based on what we're all saying here. Next, we're going to have Yui. She's got Lucky Break, which was just changed recently. Any means necessary and Breakout. I feel fine putting her in C. Just for all her perks combined. I think she's a very average perks. Breakouts, niche but solid. I mean it's niche but okay. Any means necessary, niche but okay. Great when you pull it off, but it's a 60-second cooldown. I think I
don't know
long.
Why is the cooldown on any means necessary. That's not something that's going to happen often enough for it to need it.
If it didn't have a cooldown, easy A, possibly S tier perk, probably A.
Or at the very least, like a very short cooldown, like 10 seconds or something, so you can't just spam it.
60 seconds is ridiculous. And then Lucky Break got massively buffed compared to where it was. I think it's probably an A or B tier perk. I didn't like that sound, Spence. What do you think?
I don't know. Clearly I'm outvoted here already, but I don't know. I think I'd put her in D overall. I don't think any of her perks are really all that standout. I like them all a lot, flavor-wise, and they kind of fall into the same category as Medal of Man for me. Even post-buff, I think Lucky Break is like a C-tier perk. If you don't get healed up, then it's very easy to run through the whole timer.
Yeah, the reason I think Lucky Break I rate it more highly is because by itself, it does its job pretty well. You can
That's
lose
true.
you can lose the killer pretty easily, and then you combine it with other perks, a med kit, inner strength, some stuff like that. You can get healed up pretty quick, and then
I do
have the
agree
timer
it's her
next
best
time.
perk, honestly.
Yeah.
Any means necessary. I want to but again, the timer, the cooldown is pretty big on this one, and breakout's kind of a meme perk. I don't think it has much practical use
I
outside
disagree
of
there.
specific builds.
I
I don't think
disagree.
it's that memey.
I don't think it's
You
that
think so?
memey. No, not at all.
Okay.
I think it's only good and really in Survive with Friends, I think, when you can communicate. But yeah, I don't think it's a meme perk at all. I think it's niche. It's harder to pull off. I think it's her worst perk, but I don't think it's a bad perk. I'd rate Breakout C, any means necessary C, and Lucky Break A or B. So overall C. Carter, any last words on our girl?
I'm pretty happy with her in C tier. I personally think any means necessary is her worst perk. Like, I think it's fun, but it's hard to get value. Like you said, the cooldown is really long. Not only is there a cooldown, but there's like you have to hold M1 for a certain amount of time to set it back up.
It's
And
it's
that's
4 seconds. 4 seconds.
And the
It's not a
same
long
thing you
time.
mentioned about Lithe, where killers will often just break the pallet right
Yeah,
away.
that's what I was gonna say. I was like, if the killer doesn't just immediately break that pallet, you get no use out of it. Breakout, I think you can pull some interesting things off with it. And then I think Lucky Break is really good, and especially if you pair it with other things, you can pull off some nasty stuff like Iron Will and a med kit. You can just stomp a killer if they aren't paying attention, like not visibly tracking you the whole time.
Cool. No, that sounds good. I think we'll move on next to Zarina.
Yeah, I'm outvoted here, so I'll again bow to the majority.
Sorry, Spency boy.
Okay.
Next, we've got Off the Record, Red Herring, and For the People. I will admit, I'm not an expert on her perks. Carter, I know you play Zarina a bit, and you might know more about her perks. What do you think?
Yeah, my gut reaction is to put her in C tier. Off the Record helps with aura stuff. Like, I think it's a more situational kind of distortion, but a little bit more reliable sometimes.
It doesn't run out.
It doesn't run out.
Yeah.
You can get a little bit more consistent with it. But I believe it relies on you being hooked, which is the trade-off. So, like, if you're playing really well, you won't get any value, which is not necessarily a bad thing. Like, if you have a perk that you're not getting any value because you're winning, I don't think that's a bad thing per se.
Right.
Yeah, Red Herring, I think, is also like a better version of the Pebble.
You think so?
Yeah,
I've always thought of Red Herring as another kind of meme perk. I put it about on par.
It's a little bit, but like I think it tends to work a little bit better because it's pulling the killer specifically towards a generator. Locker or a generator, I believe.
Yeah, I want to say it's a generator. I think Deception is the one that works on lockers.
Maybe.
Elodie's
There's too many of these.
Yeah.
But either way, like it can help you get away versus like I think the Pebble, half the time you're gonna use it out in the open and the killer's gonna find you because he looks stupid. But a Red Herring actually kind of pulls them towards something that would make a loud noise notification. Like it makes sense for them to be like, that generator just messed up or somebody went into a locker. They might actually believe it. And then I think For the People was awesome. It's not as solid as a lot of the other perks. I want it to be an S tier perk, and I think it's super fun, and you can pull off some really cool stuff. Especially like right now, we'll get to Leon later, but the combination of Flashbang and For the People is incredibly fun and can be incredibly clutch. Because that's the one where you pick somebody up off the ground. Like if you're full health, you can pick them up off the ground. You take damage, 1 health state, but they get up and can get away. So you run through, drop your flashbang, get the person off the ground, and you've both made a hasty getaway, and the killer completely lost that potential hook state. So I think For the People is easily her best perk. I'd put it at like an A, maybe B. Off the Record is like a C, and then Red Herring maybe like a D.
Spence, what do you think? What would you rank overall?
Overall, I agree with C tier. I think For the People is an excellent perk. Hard to use well, but very rewarding when it gets used properly. And it's one of my favorite perks as well in the game. Off the Record, I don't think it's super useful. Red Herring, I'm inclined to put it in garbage.
So I will leave her in C to average out all our votes. I personally think she belongs in D. I think red herring is poo-poo garbage. I'm not really high on off the record. I think for the people, it can be great. Not as consistent, but it's a really cool perk, and I like it a lot. I think it's probably a high B. So I put her in D, but I think for overall, all of us will leave her in C.
Thematically, it's S tier.
Next, we have Cheryl. She's got Soul Guard, Blood Pact, and Repressed Alliance. It's going to be an interesting one to rate.
I don't even remember what Blood Pact does.
Something to do with when you heal somebody, you get some kind of thing. That's all I remember.
when you or the Obsession are injured, you see each other's auras. After healing the Obsession or being healed by the Obsession, you both gain the haste effect, moving at 7% faster speed, so like Hope, until you're not within 16 meters of each other. So basically, once you heal or are healed by the Obsession, as long as you stay close to them, you're going to be zooming around. So I put that towards D, maybe poo-poo garbage.
Yeah.
I put that in poo-poo garbage. I don't know if you saw it too. If you're the Obsession, you just can't use it. So the fact that there's something completely out of your control that just nullifies the perk, I think makes it.
The perk passively decreases your chance to be the Obsession, though.
Even still,
I will say that. Soul Guard, I could put Blood Pack and poo-poo garbage. I think Soul Guard. Honestly, I put Soul Guard. Oh man, is it a B or an A?
I'd say.
Say a B. It relies on the killer to run a hex.
I think in this hex meta,
usually they will.
Just considering the current meta, especially at high tier, I'll put her in A, or not her, but I'll put Soul Guard in A, just because of the hex meta. You're almost always gonna have Ruin, and then later maybe some games will have Devour. So
Counterpoint: you want to cleanse Ruin as fast as possible, so they're kind of working at cross purposes here. But yes, you will have it in most games.
That's fair. I think Repressed Alliance is one of the most unique perks. I think it's really cool. I think it's just a fine average perk overall.
I think it's slept on for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think it's bad.
I mean, you know I like running Repressed Alliance when I suspect someone's going to have Ruin, so.
It's a huge counter to Pop, too.
Pop as well.
I think she's another solid C.
I think I'd be more inclined to put her in, like, B, personally.
Yeah, I might actually say B as well. Low B, but still up there.
Low B, yeah.
Okay. I'm fine with that.
In spite of Blood Pact.
Next we have Felix, Visionary, Desperate Measures, and Built to Last. I run a build that is a super fast self-healing build that you can heal mid-chase that uses Desperate Measures and Built to Last. Super fun. Not super consistent, nor do I run it in public all that often. Right off the bat, oh man, it's close. I hate to do it. I think built Desperate Measures is really bad. Visionary I think is really bad. I think he has 2 poo-poo garbage perks, so I'm gonna put him in poo-poo garbage. Spence, as the resident Felix main, what do you think?
I'm gonna ride right by saying you're full of crap.
Wow.
No, I see what you're saying about Visionary, actually. I really want to like Visionary, but...
It's great for newer players, but other than that...
For purposes of finding gens, Deja Vu is better.
I mean, just for finding gens,
yourself.
Unless you're somewhere like Larry's, just open your eyes and like look around for the antenna. I think Visionary is
just
terrible.
Visionary...
like, honestly.
Visionary is mostly useful on indoor maps, and... I think Deja Vu is better in most cases.
And indoor maps are the minority of maps.
Yeah.
I think Desperate Measures is terrible too.
I think you severely underrate Desperate Measures.
I agree on that.
Really? Why?
Yes. When you're playing with multiple people who aren't healing, which they will generally do at higher tiers of play, people will know not to heal immediately. You're going to get a lot of mileage out of Desperate Measures because it affects a lot of things.
I will say
healing especially is a great use for it.
Yeah, for the people at home that don't know, last season I was rank 1 killer. I'll say that a lot of people heal under hook if I'm not there.
You think so?
A lot of people heal under hook.
That might be different in what tiers you play at then. I'm mostly play at mid tiers.
I think Built to Last is C, maybe low B. I think it's honestly a pretty good. I think it's a pretty good perk. I like it.
Built to Last is decent.
It's simple. I think it does what it needs to do. It's nothing great. It's just good. Just good.
I think the big thing in Desperate Measures is in how well it combines with other perks that boost your speed, like Resilience.
Yeah, I think I would rather run Resilience than Desperate Measures.
Same.
Sure, but if you run them together, and again, you only have 4 perks, but if you run them both together, you're getting a massive boost out of both.
Yeah.
Something like 25% offhand, something like that.
Carter, where would you vote him overall?
I'd put him in D, personally. I also agree that Visionary is pretty bad. Deja Vu is a better option. Or you could just take the Evan strat and just know where the gens are, apparently.
I mean, like, on any outdoor map, you just, like, look at the antennas.
I know, outdoor maps, it's useless. I agree there. But especially with, like, the addition of maps like RPD, where it's just impossible to find shit. It does have its uses. But, again, Deja Vu is probably just better. And maybe even a map. Just bring a map in that case. Don't
So,
So Last, I think, definitely has decent value, though. And Desperate Measures is not boo garbage by any stretch.
so
I would even put him in C personally.
so I think
but
Carter, you
I
said
know,
D,
a
right?
little
Did you say
upper end
D?
I did, yeah, D.
Okay, I am unswayed.
that seems like the average.
I am unswayed. I think Desperate Measures is bad, and I think Visionary is bad, especially at the rank that I play at. But that's just me. We can agree to disagree on that one. We're not here to make friends. We're here to rank survivors.
Regarding about people healing under the hook, if people are bringing Will Make It and healing under hook, then that's like we said regarding which perk was it earlier, where you just it's good but you never end up using it. I don't remember which one.
Probably
but
a lot of them.
yeah, if you do well, you won't need it. I don't think that's necessarily a strike against it as a perk.
Oh, I think it was off the record that we were talking about.
That's right. Yeah.
Next we have Élodie. She's got Appraisal, Deception, Power Struggle. I need to remember some of these killers that, like, the perks that you rarely see.
I believe
like
Appraisal increased your chances of finding rare items or getting add-ons from chests.
You can rummage through chests.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
You start the trial with 3 tokens. You can do it 3 times, and then you also rummage through chests 80% faster.
Okay.
So those are already open.
Get extra use out of chests.
Okay. Oh god.
For that one.
Screams purple garbage to me. Deception is when it interacts with a locker. Allows no notification. It will not leave any.
Sprint by a locker, and you'll open the doors real quick, trigger a noise notification, but won't go in, and you won't leave scratch marks for a few seconds.
For 3 seconds, and it has a 40-second cooldown. Convince me otherwise.
I agree. Then, I'm not gonna.
Power Struggle, we all remember that one? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean... No, I agree.
Oh, poor Élodie. That's a shame.
I like her sweater, though.
Cool sweater. You got
She's
that going,
a cool
Élodie.
looking character, for sure.
Yeah, Élodie, you look great.
I love her cosmetics.
You got that going for you. You look great.
At least you're pretty.
I think Power Struggle and Deception do have some synergy with other perks, but not enough to bring her out of garbage tier.
Yeah.
Unfortunate. Next we have Yun-Jin, Fast Track, Smash Hit, Self-Preservation. Oh, man.
Remember when she came out and everybody was like, Smash Hit is going to be the new meta?
It's fun. I like it.
It's okay.
Not meta.
I'm throwing her in D. Anybody disagree there?
Not really. Any survivor that has perks that rely on your team failing, I think, is a huge strike against them. So, like, with things like self-preservation, I strongly dislike that.
I like Fast Track. I do think it's her best perk by far. It's only really useful
I think Smash Hit's
at
better.
its top tier, though.
I think Smash Hit's better, but I don't think both are great.
Smash Hit's more reliable. You can get Smash Hit at its lowest level, and it still will help you perfectly fine. Fast Track, you have to be at top level to really get value out of it.
Yeah, I think Smash Hit's a C. I think Fast Track is a B or a D.
I think Fast Track is a very solid gen repair perk. Because you can generally count on your teammates getting hooked a couple of times. But the fact that it relies on hooks is... It's tough to get around.
Don't you have to hit a great skill check or something?
You have to hit great skill checks, which means you can combine it with things like Stakeout.
I just
But,
think when we're talking just general ranking on hitting great skill checks, you usually don't. So there could be a lot of games where you don't hit a great skill check. It
I
happens.
don't know. I think I haven't had too much trouble. It's a little bit tough for me to hit great skill checks, but I can get them reliably enough.
Yeah. I'm not
And
great
this is
with
me
it.
as a mid-tier player here, so
I'm not great at hitting greats. Like, I almost never miss a skill check if I'm paying attention. But, like, yeah, I don't know. I vote D. Carter, what do you vote here?
I'd agree. I also don't tend to hit great skill checks, not consistently enough to get value out of a perk like that. So I think Smash Hit is also probably her best perk, and it's still kind of
Yeah, I think it's like a low B, high C.
I think C personally, but it's a close one.
But you suck. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, outvoted.
Yeah, outvoted.
Indeed, I am.
Jill, we have Counterforce, Resurgence, and Blast Mine. This is gonna be I think this is one of the more interesting ones to rank out of the entire list here.
Yeah, the next two are very different from the rest of them.
Yeah, I think Blast Mine's like probably a B. Do you think it's an A?
Nah, I'd put it at a B because the killer can just kick it again if they really want to.
Yeah, it's a good time waster, and especially if they go to kick the gem before chasing you.
Yeah, that's huge.
I'd put Blast Mine lower actually, just because with Surge or Ruin, they're never going to kick the gens at all.
True, that's a fair point. If they're running Ruin, but if Ruin gets cleansed, then
I do like Blast Mine. It's a lot of fun, but I think it's C at best.
I think Resurgence is niche but solid. I don't think it's a bad perk.
Yeah,
at all.
You pair that with We'll Make It, it's pretty nutty.
Yeah, I think Resurgence is probably honestly B. I think it's B.
I'd put her at a B overall. Like, I can see arguments for all three of her perks kind of being at B tier.
I don't know if this is a hot take. I
put maybe borderline B and C for
I
her.
think Counterforce is really bad. I think it's really bad. The reason being is that it reveals the totem farthest away from you, right? So
you use a lot of time.
It takes
pursuing it
because you have to go back and forth across the map over and over again. I just think, I think there are such better totem perks like Detective's Hunch.
Yeah, I'd say it's not bad, but it's a very mediocre totem perk.
I think it's like a solid D perk. It's not poo-poo garbage, but I don't think Counterforce is good at all. When it first came out, I was like, oh my god, this is like amazing. But no. I think I put Jill in B, but I think Counterforce is bad.
I think the Counterforce saving grace that kind of makes it stand out from others is it makes you cleanse the totems faster too.
It's not even it's considerably not that much though, because it's like 16 seconds to cleanse a totem, and I think you do it 20% faster.
I think it gets faster and faster for every totem that you cleanse.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see this. Yeah, you start 20% faster, so that's.
But they stack, so like it could be huge if the killer's running Devour.
So
you find that like the way that they defend that. Having faster cleansing totem speed can save the game for the survivors, I think, in the right situation.
Yeah.
I still don't think it's great.
Plus, Counterforce doesn't help you find that first totem either.
It doesn't, but you can cleanse any totem.
I think the speed boost is really what keeps it out of being bad. Yeah.
I just don't think the speed boost is that much. It's 20% your first one, which is around 3 seconds off. 16 seconds, so it's 13 seconds. And then it's about 1.6 seconds less for every stack. No, it's not 20%. No, my math is bad. Oh god, my potato math. Yeah, no, it is. It's a stackable 20% cleansing speed. Yeah. So 20% of 16 is 3.2, not 1.6. I was doing it to 10%. So it goes from 13 seconds to about 10-ish to about 6, 7. So like yes, but it's going. But the thing is, if your teammates cleanse a totem, then you don't get another stack.
Yeah.
And also, it shows the one, again, farthest away from the map, or from where you are. So it's like, all right, we've been on Jill for a while, but I think we can leave her in B. I'm lower on Counterforce than you guys, though, I feel.
Oh, no, I'm, well, yeah. I don't think Counterforce is great.
I think it's almost,
like I said, it's mediocre, I would say.
I think it's like teetering on poo-poo garbage. I think it's really bad. personally, but I understand why some people like it.
I think she's really borderline between B and C overall. But
I would agree.
Yeah.
But I feel fine leaving her in B. I like her 2 other perks. Last is Leon. We have Bite the Bullet, Flashbang, and Rookie Spirit. Rookie Spirit's a perk that I thought people were really going to use.
I've used it occasionally.
Like it's just if you hit three skill checks on a gen, the rest of the game you see any regressing gens, and that's it. So like it's solid. It's easy to activate, but decent. Like it's just like an underwhelming perk. It's easy to activate, but it's just like, oh, you see regressing gens. Okay.
I love it partially just in the sense that it does encourage people to actually do the fucking generators. Like
same with Flashbang. Perks,
yeah, like 2 of his perks encourage you to actually go do the objective, which can be huge in solo queue. I personally would put him in like a B. I think his perks are ones that lose value the higher tier you are, but they're great for people still learning. They do have a lot of.
I would argue the opposite for Bite the Bullet though. I think at higher tier, like if you're a great looper and then all of a sudden you start healing yourself and you're silent, that can throw off the killer pretty well.
I think Bite the Bullet is across the board pretty good.
Yeah, I think we've had an argument not on the channel, but I think Iron Will's better, and I think we all agree. Our boy Atstarva thinks Bite the Bullet is fantastic. But I don't know.
I do not have 6,000 hours in the game, so maybe there's something I'm missing there. But I don't think Bite the Bullet is all that great. I can definitely see its uses, but
yeah, it's more just for the fact that like when you're healing or healing someone else, you're just completely silent. So it's like
it's not awful, but I feel like that's a very situational benefit.
It's also like you're silent when you kind of need to be. Where Iron Will, you're silent. You're silent of Gruntsipan all the time, but you make the healing sound. So that's the main difference. I have him in C. Does anyone disagree? I think Flashbang is super fun, not consistent as whether it hits.
I think the fact you have a little more control over it puts it above Blast Mine.
I agree.
I think if Jill is B tier, Leon has to be as well. I think I put them about on par with each other for different reasons.
Yeah, I'm looking at the perks. I think Bite the Bullet is B. I think Flashbang's B. I think Rookie Spirit is like D. So I put him in B. That's fair. Carter, any last words here on our boy?
I love Flashbang.
Good last words. All right, next we have the Trapper. His perks are unnerving. All
right, let's go.
All right. Whew! No, speaking of, you should watch the video. But thanks for watching, guys. It has been 1 hour, an hour and 7 minutes. So I think our goal was to be under an hour. We barely went over, but for more survivors, I feel okay about it. Thanks for watching, everybody. If you liked this video, go check out the other ones. Some good times there too. Spence, Carter, any last words?
Subscribe.
Yeah, like and subscribe. Leave me a comment saying how cool I am. Need that.
Tell me he's a filthy Brit.
Tell me I am a filthy Brit. Thank you. That makes no sense because I don't have an accent, but I am British. So
now they know.
Now they know. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you next time.